Hey guys, I'm the 50s Kid. We're continuing on with the M54 engine rebuild project. In this video, we're going to be balancing pistons and connecting rods. So let's get started. Now, balancing connecting rods can be kind of tricky. You don't just want to weigh your connecting rods and then match all of the heaviest ones and grind material off of the heaviest ones in order to match the lightest one. Because the thing is, the connecting rod really represents two different weights. It represents the rotating weight, which is this end. This is the end that's connected to the crankshaft, and this is the end that's rotating. This end is connected to the piston, and that's reciprocating weight. So when connecting rods are balanced, the two different ends are balanced independently. And professional shops use something sort of like this. They use kind of a stand setup that's similar to this. You know, one's going to be on their scale, one's going to be over here. There's going to be something like this it's actually kind of dangling by a chain, and you're going to put the rod on there. These aren't aligned properly, but it would be something sort of like this, where they would put the rod kind of like this, and this end would be suspended, and the ends would be level like this. And then when you weigh it, this end is just kind of the only part being weighed. And then you can just then compare the weights to one another. And when you take material off of the small end to match them all, you actually just sand it off this top end right here. The problem with this setup that I'm doing is that I'm just not getting consistent readings from if I just take the rod, put it on, take it off, put it on, take it off, I'm not getting consistent readings by doing that. I think it just has to do with, how this is sitting on here, and I think this is moving a little bit, and because you actually have like a long arm right here. If that's up or down, or if that moves this way or that way, it's just putting torque on this end, and it's just changing the weight. So this is not working out for me at all. So my plan B here is to I've made some blocks of wood that are just, I've leveled them out with my scale. My scale has little adjuster feet on it. So I've taken to doing this, and I've been weighing them this way, and I'm finally getting consistent readings this way. I don't know if, I don't think that the weights that I'm actually seeing on the little end are perfect, because as you can see, the rod is not level. But I honestly don't think that really matters, because as long as I'm weighing all of the rods in the exact same way, as long as they're all pointing down at the exact same angle, when I weigh one rod and I compare one rod to another, it's showing me accurate differences, because again, the goal is to just get all of these little ends to weigh the same. So it really doesn't matter what angle they're at, as long as when I weigh them, they're all at the same angle, and it should actually work out. So the weights that I'm getting are seem to be, I've already weighed these, and I've already lined them up in order of lightest, the lightest big end to the heaviest big end. And then what I've also done is just weighed the whole rod for the total weight, and it seems to be consistent. This seems to be the lightest rod overall, this seems to be the heaviest rod overall. So I think that this should work. So I'm just going ahead and weighing these. The lightest one here that I'm seeing is 112.7. Keeps coming up at that. I do want to mention that I'm making sure that they're all in the same orientation. The stamped numbers are all up. When I turn them around, flip them around, the weight is a little different. So again, there are some inconsistencies somewhere. But again, if I just keep them all oriented the same, I should get consistent results here. So seeing as this is the lightest one, it's always 112.7, I'm going to tare that. That's going to be my tare weight. And when I go and weigh this one, it's going to show me how much heavier it is, 1.1 gram heavier. This one is going to be 2.1 grams heavier. and so on and so forth. So I'm just going to take all of these and sand down the edges, linish the edges on my belt sander. And I've got my belt sander just in my vise here, and I'm able to turn this thing on and keep it on. So you can see that's within 0.1 gram now. It's actually perfect, 0. So all good there. I'm just going to go ahead and keep doing that and just match the weights as best I can. Got to take a lot off that one, 2.2. That one's one of the heavier ones. It should be back here. This one is 1.3, 1.4, 2. So 1.3, 2, 2, and then 3 off of this back one. So I'm just going to do that exact same process, and then we will balance the overall weight of the rods. So I've gotten them all to within half a gram of one another. It's more like 0.2 or 0.3 grams of one another, which is totally fine. I think most machine shops balance to within half a gram. So that's close enough for the top ends. Now I'm going to go ahead and weigh each rod individually. So 575.3, 577, which is heavier, 580, heavier still, 579, go there, 578, can go there, 576, and the lightest one was 575. So 575.3 is my lightest one. I'll tare that, and now I can just see how much material I need to remove off the balance pads of each one. So I've taken the time to get all of the connecting rods balanced to each other within about 0.1 grams. Most of these are going to be 0.1 over. This is my lightest one. There's 0.2. 0.2. 0.10, good enough. So when I was grinding these, I found that I had to hold them like this against the grinding wheel, which is actually a no-no. You don't want to put scratches this way in the metal because the forces on this connecting rod are such that it could actually snap that way. So you always want to make your scratches this way in the metal. You see when I linished this rod, you know, all the scratches are going this way. They're following the direction of the crankshaft rotation. And when I ground this side, I made sure that the scratches were that way too, because I'm able to get that side against the wheel. But when you take the material off of this side right here, it's just you know, normally with a connecting rod, you actually, these bolts are usually a little more sunken in, and this end is sticking out a little bit more, so you're actually able to grind it against the wheel this way. But with these particular connecting rods, these bolts are sticking out. They're almost level with the balance pads. So I had to do it this way, and since the scratches are this way and that's not good, I'm having to use my little die grinder to grind it this way in order to get the scratches out. So let me show you that. So yeah, this is the only one that I haven't done yet, and it's still about 0.1 gram within the weight of this one. So I've just been using my little rotary tool with a little sanding block thing on it and just grinding this way. So looks like I got all those vertical scratches off. No more scratches this way, only scratches this way. Takes off about 0.1 gram of material, so that's all good. 0 there. 0.1-ish, you know, right there. I hope it goes without saying, guys, that once you balance the small ends and they're all balanced to each other, you don't have to then balance the big ends separately in that same way. You can just, you know, you're weighing the whole rod at that point because all these small ends are the same. Therefore, the only imbalance left in the rod must be in the big ends. So that's why you just weigh the rod as a whole after you balance the small ends. This one's actually, that's strange, slightly under. Now let's zero that. We'll call that our new 0. You know, you can see they're all basically the same. Some machine shops actually only balance to within 1 gram, plus or minus 1 gram. Some do plus or minus half a gram. I mean, if you're in a machine shop and you're doing production and you know you don't have all day to spend on this, you get it only so perfect. But here at home, you know, I can spend the time to just get it slightly more perfect, and looks like I have. So yeah, happy with that. So it's actually been a week since I filmed the last segment of this video. The machine shop finished with everything in the meantime, so when I went to pick up everything, I actually took the connecting rods with me and had them weigh them just to double check me, make sure everything was right. And everything was, you know, just right on. I took the time to polish up the ends of this with my Dremel tool, which I think I showed you guys in the last segment. Sorry, I forget exactly what I did. But, you know, I took the time to polish up and make sure all my scratches were this way. I think I did mention that. And, you know, he weighed everything on the jig, which I told you about at the beginning of the video. And the weights of the little ends were right on. And the weights of the big ends, of course, are matching because I was able to do that on my scale. So all good on the connecting rods. You can use this method as you just saw that I did, and it will work. So now we're going to actually move on to balancing the pistons, and the machinist actually gave me some advice on doing that as well. So with the pistons, I've already gone ahead and weighed the pistons along with their pins, and I've written the weights on the boxes here. You can see that these ones here these two are identical. This one's just 1/10 of a gram over here, maybe 2/10 over that. And then this one's another 1/10 beyond that one. So these ones, honestly, I could leave these alone. They're within, they're close enough that, you know, it's probably not going to cause any problems. I mean, you know, most shops, I think, balance to, I said this on the connecting rods, they balance to within 1 gram or within half a gram. So these are all matched pretty good. This one, however, is a couple of grams heavier. So I'm going to need to take 5 grams off of this piston. And I do want to show what my old piston and pin weighed. 400 grams. So these ones are at least 12 grams lighter than these pistons. So that's actually better. It's going to mean that the engine's going to rev faster. So that's kind of nice. But yeah, this piston right here is the one that I need to do the most work on. And I want to show basically where he told me to take material off of. He said, well, here, let me show you what not to do first. So this is basically what not to do. You know, there are a couple of videos on YouTube where people take weight out of pistons by using this method. I've used a drill press to just kind of make some dimples on the inside there. And, you know, my machinist basically thought that's not a good idea. You know, these pistons are rather thin. So, you know, he thought that was a bad idea. I should mention that I've seen another machinist who works in the shop that I was going to go to. It was just an hour away, you know, and I think he definitely knows his stuff because he's written books on, you know, how to machine with, you know, certain Sonnen machine, you know, heavy machines and stuff. You know, he does a lot of race stuff, and what he did is he just took a milling bit and he did hog out some material from the inside of here and then this way and that way. But those were on custom made pistons that were very likely thicker than this one. So my particular machinist, I just, you know, was asking him what he would do, and, you know, just taking a look at the piston here, he told me he would you know, take this material off right here. This was, you know, what I thought should be done, at least at first. You know, because this nub right here just kind of doesn't serve any function. It's probably there in order to be taken down when the pistons are balanced. You'll see that this piston, this is an aftermarket piston, probably made in China, and this is, it's just a direct copy of the casting of the original. You can see that the original also has that little hump right there. And incidentally, if you look at the original, you can see that it was touched right here and right here to take off some material and then probably bring it into balance. So that's where the factory is probably doing their little bit of balancing. Normally, with aftermarket pistons, you're going to have a whole balance pad up here. It's going to be like a you know, a big little hump of material that you're going to be able to take off weight from in order to match your pistons. But these are OEM pistons, and so they just don't have that big material to take off. But they do have this much right here, so I'm definitely going to take this bit of material off right here and just smooth it over. I could also smooth over this a little bit. He also said, you know, I could probably take this off right here, this little hump. I can thin these humps out a little bit. And I believe he did say I could round this over inside here. Just this little edge that's coming to that, you know, so round that over just a little bit, take a little material off inside there, just a little bit. And, you know, that should get me to 5 grams. So that's what I'm gonna do. By the way, if you're wondering whether that's safe or not, take a look at the thickness of this in here and compare that to the thickness of this one in there. You can see how that one's actually a little thinner, or a lot thinner than this is right here. So, you know, you have a little bit of material right here that you can take off, just a little bit. I want to also mention that you could weigh the piston pins separately and then match them all to each other, and or switch them amongst different pistons if they didn't quite match. That could actually bring you more into line. So obviously this one's, you know, 0.2 grams lighter, and you know, I could probably do that if I wanted to. That might get these pistons more into alignment with each other. So you can see this one's a little bit lighter, so I could probably move that somewhere. Let's see what the other ones weigh. 99. 98.9. 98.7. So that one's significantly lighter. I could do that, and you know, you could do it that way, but I don't really think it's necessary. I think these pistons are so closely matched because it really doesn't matter, because these weights are combined as far as the reciprocating assembly goes. So it doesn't matter if you take the material off the piston, or you could take it from inside the rod right here if you just didn't want to touch the piston, but I don't have something that'll go inside the rod, so I'm not going to do it that way. I'm just going to balance them like as an assembly and just take a little bit of material off of the piston. So I just took a little bit of material off of here, kind of started to round it off here, made it a little smooth here. It's just 0.3 grams so far, which is nothing compared to what I need to take off of this. So I think I probably definitely have the wrong tool for this. I had a feeling, I do have a die grinder that I'm borrowing, really old, but it does work. This bit doesn't do anything though. I think I would need to get like a carbide burr, because this is just taking forever to take off all this material, or to take off enough material. So I actually went to Harbor Freight and I bought a die grinder because the other one I borrowed was leaking, and I bought this, some rotary rasps, and I've just been grinding on this piston. As you can see, I've ground pretty heavily along the top areas here, ground those off, ground a little here and here and here, and then in here like that, and then also along here, like I said I would do. It's rough right now, but I've actually been able to take out like 5 grams that way. Now I'm within half a gram of this one right here, 388 38.2 was the one that I zeroed it on. So, you know, I'm pretty close. Pretty close. I'm only half a gram off. And so I think at this point I'm going to switch to back to the little sandpaper drum thing, just to kind of smooth out all the roughness and everything. And, you know, based on what I saw on the connecting rods, when I ended up smoothing things out, I would take off like, maybe it was like 0.2 grams, but that was, you know, that was a different surface area. So I don't know exactly how much the sanding is going to take off with this. Probably not half a gram. You know, so maybe I would, maybe I'll just do a little bit more here or there before I take it off. Maybe I'll get it to within like 0.3 of a gram, and then I'll smooth everything out. But yeah, that should get us pretty darn close. I'm not going to care if there are a couple, well, maybe I'll care if they're like, I'll probably spend a little bit of time, because I can take, you know, 0.1 grams off of here and then 0.3 off of here or something. So, you know, maybe I can just shoot for this. This is 387.8 is where I need to get it to. So we'll call that our tear, and then I'll take a little more material off and kind of get it as close as I can. So I've smoothed it out a little bit. I'm not able to get into all of the areas with this wide sanding drum that I could with that pointed carbide burr, or it's not carbide, but that pointed burr. But I don't really know how necessary it is, because, you know, the rest of the casting's rough anyway. So I don't know that's absolutely necessary. It didn't really take off much material at all. So I think I might just real quickly do another swipe with the rotary rasp, and that'll bring it to within weight. And that just looks something like this. My air compressor is going to kick on any second. Yeah, look at that. There you go. So that's all that was necessary there. So now that piston is matching these down here, and I just need to take off a little bit on these two, and we'll be good to go. So that is it, guys. Everything is weighing 387.8 at this point. Just had to take a little off up here. 387.8. Yep, good there. Again, also took off, I basically took off that nub that sticks out right there. 0.9, don't care. 0.8. Obviously on the lighter side of 0.8. And 0.8, 0.9, probably slight difference, you know, on the heavier side of 0.8, obviously. But there, that's perfect, you know, don't need to get it any better than that. Really can't unless I had a better scale. So that's it, guys. That's how you balance pistons and rods. You have to have a fairly good scale to do this, or I should say probably a fairly big scale. Don't use a kitchen scale, and try to use a scale that you know, weighs in the tenths of a gram like mine did. That way you're reasonably assured that you're going to get them somewhat close. Yeah, there's nothing really much more to say other than if you want to keep up to date on the project, follow me on Instagram and Facebook. If you like the video, please like and subscribe, and remember to turn on notifications. You know, after you subscribe, you got to click the little bell icon and turn notifications on. Otherwise, YouTube is not going to notify you whenever I release a new video. I'm the 50s Kid. Thanks a lot for watching.